guys, Avalon here. Today I'm going to be showing you instructions on how to draw a dog. My dog's name is Rex here. So first what we're going to do is we're going to sketch out lightly a gesture line. I'll be drawing it a little bit darker just so you all can see what I'm doing. The gesture line is to show what direction the dog will be sort of standing or facing. So I'm just going to darken it here to show you what exactly I'm doing. And now I'm going to draw a simple sphere or a simple circle, sort of oval shape exactly for the majority of the body. And then I'm going to draw the angle line. And now for the same thing, I'm going to do the head, but a little bit smaller. And I'm going to keep the neck sort of long for some wiggle room. And there's the angle line. Now what I'm going to do is lightly sketch out these sort of gesture lines of the limbs of the legs of the dog and sort of readjusting that circle, that oval for the body because I want to have enough room to draw the legs. Here I'm going to use the pink pearl eraser that y'all are going to have, and I love this eraser because it erases really well and doesn't leave any marks or anything. So we're just going to clean that up and go back with the number 2 pencil and sketch those in lightly just to correct that little mistake. I'm just going to go for a straight line right now and then go back and edit that later, like so. And here again I'm going to darken them. You can keep your lines pretty light because they will be easier to erase later. Then I'm going to do a simple line for the tail. Now I'm going to lightly sketch in the ear of the dog. And here I'm just using simple shapes, same thing for the snout, just pretty simple to go back and make more detailed and intricate later. We're just going to start with simple shapes, which is a good way to start your drawings. And then I'm just thickening the tail, and now I'm going to add in the neck. And I'm just basically taking a cylinder shape, sort of stretching it a little bit and connecting it to that oval for the body and to that mass for the leg there. Then I'm going to add in a sort of circle sphere shape, adding in some mass for the legs and a little bit of a gesture for the feet. And I'm going to be doing this for all 4 legs, though 2 are more visible than the others, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time on those than the ones in the back, like there. And then we have this one, just darkening the neck, readjusting, sort of lengthening the snout a little bit, curving it to get that sort of 3/4 angle that I want, and sort of basically just going back and editing and adding to make sure that all the angles look correct and that it doesn't look too off. Here I'm connecting the chest to the leg, and I know the leg is in front, and I'm adjusting the angle of the leg. Because I am drawing from the little animal right there, I am basically just drawing from life, and so editing the angles a little bit. There I'm adding in the back leg, just a really quick gesture because it is in the back, pretty simple. Here I'm erasing my previous lines, just lightly erasing them. I always like gesture lines anyway, but for now we're just going to erase them because they're not the ones we're using. Here I'm using the pink pearl again, and now what I'm doing is I'm lightening up the drawing. Because this is my base and I want the structure to be really light, if not there at all, I'm basically lightly grazing the pink pearl eraser over the entire drawing, just enough so that it is barely visible, really light, and sort of taking out those structure lines as well, the really, really basic ones, and basically leaving a skeleton of what I had before to allow me to go back and darken my lines and edit even further. So I'm going to brush off those eraser shavings, sort of collect them to the side, and then I'm just going to take them off the page so I'm not distracted by them. There we go. And then now, like I said, I'm going to start darkening the lines on the dog and further adding more detail. So there I'm adding a little bit of the structure of the nose, sort of making the snout look more organic and more like a dog, not just a triangle shape. I'm adding in that 3/4 angle. and we've got the forehead, and then we add the eye on the other side. There I'm adding the other eye, still pretty simple shapes that I can go back and edit later. There's the other ear, and we're going to connect the snout to the neck. That has a sort of muscle sort of hint at it for the chest, and then I'm going to go back and connect that to the body, and then connect that to the tail. When you started drawing, it is always really nice to start really loose and then go back later after using that pink pearl eraser technique I showed you by lightening it up, going back and going in darker and more intricate, paying a little bit more attention than you had in the beginning. There I am focusing on the ears, and then I'm going into the legs here and basically just making sure to look at the little dog in the frame that you see there and sort of still being pretty loose with it, but paying a little bit more attention to what I'm doing. We know that the chest curves pretty well there, so we know also that it connects to the back leg, even though that back leg is, like I said, in the back. And here what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, that's me taking the angle of the 2 feet and where they lay on the little toy. So I take that angle, I stretch out my arms straight, and then I place it on my paper and use that as a guideline to know where the legs hit. So I know how far they are and the angle that they lay on the paper. Here I'm just further editing and sort of tweaking my drawing to make sure that the angle is perfected. And then I'm working on the eye, sort of doing a stylistic eye for the dog, and just adding in pupil, and then working on the nose a little bit, just adding in little details, basically, because we're getting towards the end, and adding in some whiskers as well that aren't on the actual toy, but it's always nice to embellish and sort of take your own spin on it, artistic license. Just kind of tweaking the feet, making sure my angles look pretty good, changing them if they're not. Sort of reassessing every once in a while to see what do I need to do next? What can I tweak to make it look more like the toy? Or what I really want is just a dog. Now what I'm doing is I'm adding on the spots, just sort of leaving that little detail towards the very end, which is what you want to do. You don't want to get too caught up in little details in the beginning because they might change later on once you tweak the drawing anyway. So just lightly putting in the spots. I'm going to sharpen my pencil because I've been drawing for a while. I usually like sharpening it more towards the end as well because I get sharper and cleaner lines. Having a sort of dull pencil in the beginning doesn't really bother me because we're going to refine it anyway. Now what we're going to do is I'm just sort of cleaning up my line quality as well as I'm sort of darkening it, and from that, what a good line quality is basically if you have a dark line that it fades, it doesn't just end abruptly, because that can be sort of abrupt to the viewer as well. So sort of darkening it and then also fading it, that sort of thing, and cleaning it up as well as I go along. And that might take a few rounds as well. But for here, I'm just sort of taking my time in each part before I move on to the next, so I won't have to make those multiple rounds. Here I'm connecting it to the leg, and further ask myself, is there anything I can do to make it look more like the toy or what I had in mind, and tweaking it if I can. You can also do the lines in the back, the legs in the back. For the lines, they can be pretty faded. I know they look kind of lighter than the front legs in my drawing, and that's because when you have a darker line, it brings it more to the front of the drawing or the painting. So sort of leaving those back legs sort of ambiguous and sort of general is what I would recommend, at least in the beginning, to show that the 2 front legs are in the front and in front of the back legs. sort of still just darkening that line quality. And now what I'm doing is I'm just working on the feet really quickly, really lightly, sort of in a gestural sort of way, just quickly doing them, just adding in some claws and just more texture, and just doing that on each foot, each paw, before moving on to the next, and then maybe going back and editing them afterwards. Still tweaking, and then adding in those spots a little bit darker just so I can see them better, and erasing those final guidelines. And then I'm going to take this black color pencil and I'm just going to lightly shade over the spots to show a difference between the base of the dog and the spots. And then also with that, adding some shading with that black pencil where the spots hit, like underneath the ear and near the eye, and just darkening up the spots in general to make them more apparent. You can also use it for outlining as well. And adding in even some little wrinkles in the ear, and then sort of going in the same direction is what I usually do, but there really is no method. Usually what you would do is you would do the texture of the fur, but I tend to just go a little crazy with whatever I feel in the moment. Though when actually shading, you would shade in the direction of the light and then shade in the other direction of the form of the object that you're shading. Though here I'm just being a little bit more loose. I'm adding some blue into the eye. And then I'm going to take a green marker and quickly add little gesture marks for grass, sort of a nod to it. Still being pretty free because the face of my dog is pretty tight. I can be pretty free in other places. And then I'm going to sort of brush those off and draw a quick little flower in the corner just to add a little bit of color and a little just piece to the drawing that makes it special. And having fun with the different mediums in the art box. And then taking the green, doing the stem, and finally taking that blue and signing it. Make sure to sign your drawings because I love signing my drawings. My signature is my favorite thing because it's just so fast and fun, and it gives you an opportunity to figure out what your signature might be. Plus it's nice to sign your drawings when you have them. So we're brushing off those final little eraser marks, and there you go. That is the puppy. Thank you for watching, and there's the dog that I drew, the little toy, and there's the drawing itself. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out my channel to see other videos on how to and an exploration through the art box.